All right, and welcome everyone back to another great edition of Maxin TV. I have the world-renowned Ahmad Munawar. Ahmad, he's the founder of 90 Day Pipeline. Ahmad, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled. I don't think you actually noticed, but I think I've seen a lot. I've seen so many of your YouTube ads, and I absolutely love. I think they're the absolute funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And for those of you who don't know, it's basically making fun of people who don't know how to prospect on LinkedIn.
Hey, buddy.
Hang on one second.
You need a consultant? Consulting, anybody? Look, I'll tell you what, 20 grand.
Nothing.
Call it a day. I offer services, strategy.
Excuse me?
Consultant, you need a consultant? Hey, buddy, what do you need? I got it right here.
I
Consulting,
don't need anything.
Strategic planning, leadership development.
I'm good.
Are you a CEO?
I'm not.
Are you?
Anyways, why don't you tell us a little bit about what is the 90 Day Pipeline?
Yeah, so the 90-day pipeline is essentially a marketing and business development boot camp, if you will, specifically geared towards B2B consultants and professional services providers. And that's kind of the world that I came from. I spent some years consulting at Ernst & Young. I joined a boutique firm after that and kind of came in as the business guy. Had some friends that started a consulting firm and they were all subject matter experts, and they were like, hey, how do we get more clients? And they said, well, you work at a big firm and you have some fancy suits and you seem to talk nice. Right? So why don't you come in and help us find some clients? I said, sure. Well, how could that go wrong? And I did that for a few years, made all the mistakes in the book, and then eventually launched my own consulting practice, which then turned into the program that we now call the 90 Day Pipeline, where we coach and advise and train B2B consultants on how to build their pipeline, attract perfect clients, charge premium fees, and ultimately scale their consulting business.
Yeah. And this is no joke. You've got some real big hitters as far as clients. You've helped Shay Rowbottom. And if you are on LinkedIn, there's no way you don't know who Shay Rowbottom is. Recently, I just checked before this podcast, 620,000 followers. Big stuff. Apparently, she was, in her own words, she was kind of all over the place. She jumped on the bandwagon with you, and the rest is history. And another gentleman by the name of Brent Bolden, who I had the privilege of interviewing, he was the former head of marketing for Bank of America and Choice Hotels. These are not just random. These are some heavy hitters, and you're coaching some of the big guys, essentially. It's really impressive.
And I'd love to take credit for all their success, but that would be ridiculous and a lie, right? So the reality is Shay's really good. And this is a bit of a disease in my market, to be honest, is that it's really getting tiring that you have these marketing gurus and these business gurus that go, look at my students and they were nothing and I turned them into something, and without me, it's total horseradish. But you know what I meant to say, right?
Sure.
Look, Shay's really good. I mean, Shay's incredible, right? Shay's got an incredible personality. She's got so much to offer. What we did was we helped her structure a new offer and build a sales process that'll get her to a higher level of revenue, and it worked really well. And she's taken that since then, and she's run with it and gone to a whole other level. Brent Bolden and the folks there, same story. These guys ran digital for Bank of America.
Yeah.
They
joke.
ran digital for some big names, right? But when they went out on their own and started consulting, they hadn't done that before. They ran digital for big companies and thrived in that environment, but building a boutique consulting practice, that was new. We helped them dial a few things in, and they're smart folks, and they ran with it. And we're very proud of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so what's one thing that you would say is lacking as far as people understanding how to actually sell on LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn? Because as I mentioned before the show aired, I literally just got a message saying that I'd love to work with you and refer clients to your bank. And again, I'm not a bank. Quintessential stuff. So what would you say to people like that?
They think of it as selling on LinkedIn. That's problem number one. Right? It's the wrong question. The question, not yours, right? But the question that people ask, how do I sell on LinkedIn? How do I get clients on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is just a platform, people. Okay. It's just a platform. It's just a tool. It's just an ecosystem. But the people on LinkedIn are just that. They're people. They're humans. Right? And so you wouldn't go to a networking event and start shaking hands with people and immediately pitch them your services without ever seeking to understand first and foremost who they are, what they do, whether they even need your help or building a relationship. And so you shouldn't do that on LinkedIn. The big mistake that particularly my market, right, people that are selling consulting, professional services on the back of their expertise, is that they don't take the time to give their marketplace a reason to talk to them. There's this sense of entitlement that people have where it's like, well, I'm really good at what I do, and clients should be beating down a path to work with me. And maybe that's true, but if they don't know who you are and they don't know that you have the solution to their problems, why would they ever want to talk to you? So here's a data point that's probably going to be useful for everyone listening. Google and the CEB teamed up and did this massive study of B2B transactions. And what they found was the average B2B buyer is almost 60% through their decision-making process before they ever contact a vendor. What that means is that they've more than half made up their minds before they're even willing to entertain a conversation with you. So if you're using LinkedIn as an example to get conversations with the marketplace, and you're just pitching people and saying, hey, can we talk? And hey, can we talk? And hey, can we talk? I mean, one, most of them are definitely not ready to talk to you. And even if they were, they don't know enough about you to entertain a conversation because you're a stranger, and we've all been taught as kids, stranger danger, right? We don't talk to strangers. Right. And that's true for busy executives, right? They don't talk to strangers unless there's a good reason to do so. So the big mistake is you haven't done the work to make your reputation precede you, give people a reason to talk to you.
Right. And so in order to get to that level of why should people talk to you, how would you go about doing it? Is it about posting knowledgeable things that people should know, things like that? How would you go about?
I mean, at one level, yes, but even before that, it's clarifying your positioning, right? So we have a framework that we call power positioning that has 3 very fundamental pillars that you need to nail down before you even think about content or thought leadership or any form of marketing outreach. And number 1 is client clarity. Who is it for? Who are we going after? I mean, I'm still shocked to this day. I think I put up a rant about it on LinkedIn the other day. The number of people that talk to their market as if LinkedIn is their market. Hey, LinkedIn, as if that's a place or that's a person. Hey, LinkedIn fam, we're not family. I don't know who you're talking to, right? Not knowing who your client is. And I don't just mean demographically. That's part of it. Sure. The market, the segment, the vertical, absolutely. But then within that, what problem are they facing? And what have they done about that problem? And why is now the perfect time for them to work with you? Clarifying all those things is very important because they're not going to assume that you can help them. You've got to communicate that you can help them and communicate that you understand their needs. So client clarity is number 1. Number 2, problem specificity, right? No one's going to believe that you can solve every problem that they're facing. So funny story, in a previous firm that I used to work for, where our founder was very charismatic and had a lot of really high level relationships, and he'd open up lots of doors for us. And we would go in, and me being one of the people responsible for selling the consulting services, we'd go in and the client would say, or we'd ask the client rather, hey, what problems do you have? How can we help you? And they would go, well, we got problems or, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they say, can you help us with this? And we go, absolutely. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We can do all those. Great. Next meeting, next client, they go, hey, we'd ask rather, how can we help you? And they go, well, we got problems 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Different set of problems, by the way, than the first 5. And they say, can you help us? Absolutely. Right. Well, what happens is you start taking on all these deals and you're doing all these kinds of random projects. We call that random work for random clients. Right. And before you know it, you don't have a track record. You have a dog's breakfast of a portfolio. Right. And it's like, well, what are you? Who are you? What do you do? Right. So problem specificity is the second key there to dialing in your positioning, because the client is not going to believe that you can solve all their problems. Right. They're only going to believe that you're world-class at solving one of their problems. And the third piece there to complete this kind of power positioning formula for you here is what we call the point of view. And the point of view is the reason why the client has been struggling with this problem up until now, and the reason why that they need to entertain your solution. And if you don't articulate that, there's no good reason to talk to you. So to answer your question in the longest form possible, yes, you need to be publishing thought leadership. Absolutely. Yes, you need to be showing up in front of your clients and saying smart things about the business problems they're facing. Absolutely. But before you ever do any of that, you need to get clear on client clarity, who it's for, problem specificity, what problem you solve, point of view. your articulation of why that problem still exists and how to solve it.
It sounds like you've never discussed this before in your life.
First time ever.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like it. Were you always good at what you do, or was there ever where did this all begin? Because in my opinion, I don't think someone's just born like this.
So it's a good question. I've been in business for about 7 years, give or take. And the first 4 years, and before that, I, again, started out my career at Ernst & Young, right? And that was a really good formative experience, taught me a lot. Then I went to a boutique consulting firm and spent about 4 or 5 years there. That's really where I cut my teeth in marketing and business development in a boutique consulting environment. And then I went out and I hung out my shingle, and I didn't really know what to do or who to do it for. I had my market, professional services. I knew I wanted to help with marketing, but didn't really know much else beyond that. So I went out to my network and I said, hey, can I help you with this? You're working on this. You have this business. I have marketing expertise. Maybe you don't want to hire a director of marketing because it's very expensive. I can help you on a fractional basis. And that's how I started. I just went out to my network and I started doing deals. And then they referred and they referred and they referred. And really, in all that time, the first 4 years, I was learning. I'm still learning, right? But I was really learning, really like in the trenches, in the weeds, helping clients get better results and learning and studying and formulating. And it wasn't until, 4 years into the game, I was like, you know what? I have a system here. I have a methodology. I have a point of view that's really valuable to other folks. I've been battle testing it all this time. Let me now package that up into the program that we now call the 90-day pipeline that we spent the last 3 years really focusing on and scaling. But there was some very hard work in the trenches in the 10 years prior, and specifically the 4 years prior, where I was just, cutting my teeth and learning and experimenting. And without that, none of this would have worked.
Right. Was there ever like a struggle though? Like, was there ever like a point where you're like, how on God's earth am I going to get to the next month or something like that?
Yeah, like every month for a really long time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Because it happens to the best of us, right? You lose a client. I still remember in the early days, I picked up a bunch of deals pretty quickly, and I'm very fortunate, and had a great network, and some people took a chance on me, frankly, and I'm very grateful for that till this day. And I got very busy, and I replaced my income, probably within the first 3 months of going out on my own. And that was steady. And that was a little bit of a curse too for me, frankly, because I had steady retainer type client relationships that were paying the bills and relatively comfortable. And that was a bit of a drug for me. And I didn't really feel the need to go out and do anything beyond what I was already doing, until I got an email from a client saying, hey, no fault of yours, but for these reasons, we have to hit pause. And then all of a sudden, 25, 30% of my monthly revenue just went out the door. And that was probably the first time that I realized, it's in business. You can't rest on your laurels and assume that things are going to continue the way that they've been, because they're almost certainly not going to be. The only guarantee in business and the only constant is change. And I wasn't ready for the change. I didn't see the writing on the wall that eventually some clients are going to move on. They're not going to work with me forever, and they shouldn't work with me forever. And I was ill prepared for that change. And that was a hard lesson learned, but it's happened over and over again in different forms, right? A particular offering falls flat. Some other clients leave. There's an extra expense in the business. There's overhead. I mean, now we have a very big team, right? So there's lots of ongoing surprises that we're unprepared for. And that's part of the game. You level up and then the problems get bigger and more complicated. So there's always learning at every level.
Right. And so has COVID affected any part of your business whatsoever? Good or bad?
Initially, COVID was tough because so we sell coaching and training, and that's a very discretionary purchase, right? Like, people are going to take extra money that they have and invest in professional development and coaching and training to level up. And they're typically not going to spend the money that they have for rent and for food on that, right? It's going to be a discretionary expenditure. And so initially when COVID hit and there was a lot of panic and a lot of fear, there were definitely people that were hesitant to pull the trigger because we don't know what's going to happen. So initially there was a bit of a crunch. What ended up happening was people realized that, well, if I run a business, I still need to run a business, and I still need to grow, and I still need to attract clients. And I can no longer go to the networking event or to the conference. And of course, now that's opening up, but I'm talking about a year ago. all of those traditional methods of building relationships have disappeared. I'm gonna have to find a better way to do this. Maybe I should work with these guys. And then so it ended up being probably a boon for the business, and likely continues to be.
Right. So what you're saying is that maybe at first, just like with any kind of disaster, originally, like no one knows what the hell's going on. They kind of essentially just go to the nearest exit, essentially. But after, probably the first couple of months, they're like, we really need to get back to this. So you saw like a steady climb up, you're saying?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so what would you say kind of led you, like, what did you do? Were you like really panicking during that time? Like what got, I mean, probably everyone was kind of going like, what the hell is going on with COVID? Like, we don't even know if we're going to live at all.
I mean, I think there was an understandable level of panic across the board. We were more focused at the time on helping our clients get through it. I mean, I wasn't really fundamentally worried about our business because I think I knew, even with the uncertainty in the immediate, I knew that ultimately we would be fine because our business was entirely online. All of our lead generation was online. It was all digital. Our deliveries all online, and we have an office, but nobody ever comes here, right? So, I knew that we were protected and that ultimately this would probably create demand for us from people that, like I said, were reliant on more traditional forms of business development and relationship building. And so we were really spending most of our time just helping clients. We had clients in the restaurant industry. We had clients in, we had clients in every industry that you can think of, and some of them were hit harder than others. So our focus at the time was really just helping our clients overcome. And it was a learning moment for everybody because, what happened with COVID, some people got washed out. There were some businesses that disappeared. And there were some businesses that, and through no fault of their own, got washed out. And then there were others who got washed out because they played the victim card. Woe is me. COVID is so difficult. I don't know what to do. And they could have survived, but they chose to be the victim and they died. And then there were those who took the opportunity that the change represented. And wherever there's change in any marketplace, wherever there's change, there's opportunity. COVID's no different. COVID created change in pretty much every market, some more than others. And so we were really focused on helping our clients identify and then capitalize on the change that COVID brought to their marketplaces. And many of them thrived on the back of that.
Right. And so once you get your clients in front of the right person for them, so what your business is really all about, as it says in your LinkedIn page, helping consultants and service providers attract better clients and charge higher fees. So once you do eventually get in front of the right person, how do you, number one, make sure that it's the right client for you? And B, how do you get that top dollar? Because a lot of times, especially in consultancy, when they ask, how much do you charge? And they hear that magic answer, whoa, it's too expensive. What am I going to do? What do you say to those people?
So pricing is a very different take on pricing than most people. Pricing is fundamentally a measure of confidence divided by alternatives. Okay, I'll tell you what I mean by that. I'm going to pay more money to a consultant that I believe is going to get me results. And the higher my confidence and their ability to get me results, the more money I'm going to pay them, right? So think of it this way. Like if you have a choice of hiring two consultants, consultant A, consultant B. Consultant A, they have the same claim, same promise. I have 90% confidence in them. Consultant B, same claim, same promise. I have 50% confidence in them. All things considered, consultant A is commanding a higher price. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The other factor to consider is alternatives. If I believe that consultant A is in a league of their own and I can't find anybody else quite like them who can do what they do, also going to command a higher price because supply is constrained. There's not enough people out there like them that can do it. I don't know where else to go. So one of my favorite stories is a story from a client. His name's Arlen. And Arlen told us a story where he put a proposal in front of a client. And the client said, Arlen, this is very expensive. And Arlen says, yes, I understand. And the client says, but we really need to do this. And Arlen says, yes, you do. And the client says, we don't know anyone else who can do it for us. And Arlen said, no, you don't. And they go, I guess we better get started. Right? That's positioning. That's where the client knows You're the only one that can help them. They have the most confidence, trust, faith in you. Everybody else is a compromise. So that's what drives price. It's not like some people think the price is like a negotiating thing. It's like, it's a tactic. It's like, you know, you have to like say the right thing and have the right script. No, it's ultimately a measure of how much confidence they have in you to get the result and how many other alternatives are available to them in the marketplace.
100%. I actually was watching one of your videos, and I don't know if it's the same guy that you were referring to, but essentially, they were one of your clients. He was a solo shop, and he essentially outcompeted against, I forget, one of the big four, one of the, like, not Ernst and Young, but the other one.
Yeah, it was Deloitte. Yeah, different story, but yeah, I know
Was that this guy? Was that this guy?
No, different client.
Different client. 100%. So clearly, I mean, if you're going to beat out Deloitte, I mean, obviously there's something to this, right? And so
it ultimately is a belief, right? And this is why we really go hard on positioning, because I'm only going to believe that you're the best option to solve my problem if the story checks out. Client clarity, problem specificity, point of view. Like, those are the pillars, right? If that checks out and I get it, and you seem to be really well positioned to serve and to solve my problem, that's going to command a premium fee. But if you're a jack of all trades, you're like, oh, I can do anything for anybody. Well, this is not believable, and I'm going to pay you like rock bottom dollars.
Right. You become a commodity, right? And so we are running low on time. So before we go, is there anything that you'd like to say, maybe, or any kind of message you'd like to say to any kind of entrepreneur going forward?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that comes up with our clients a lot is just the importance of having intrinsic motivation for the market that you serve and the work that you do. And I think that's just a friendly reminder to everybody is you know, we're pretty successful and I'm pretty good at what I do, and I appreciate your kind words, but that's only because I love it. That's only because I'm genuinely passionate about my market and our offer and the work that we do and how we serve clients. And if I wasn't, I wouldn't be very good at it. And I think a lot of people go into markets, businesses, opportunities that they maybe see as opportunistic, but they're not truly connected to. And that rarely works out. So if you're thinking about, you know, where do I go next and what do I focus on and what do I do? I mean, follow your passion is a bit of a tired statement. I wouldn't put it that simply, but I would definitely say follow your intellectual curiosity and pursue the markets that you have a genuine interest and curiosity and passion for, and you're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I love the message. And Ahmed, I really, really appreciate you making the time to come on the show. And I literally just can't say enough good things about you guys. You guys are doing great work. And again, thanks so much for coming on.
Super kind of you. And it was great to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Till next time.
Hey, my name is Ahmad Munawar. I am the founder of the 90-Day Pipeline, and you are watching Maxin TV.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.